When a text message becomes a story. It wasn't the text that hurt. It was everything she believed it meant. Have you ever looked at a text message and somehow read way more than the words on the screen? Not because anything was actually said, but because your mind filled in everything that wasn't. Maybe it was a delayed response. Maybe it was a period instead of an emoji. Maybe it was one word. Okay. And suddenly you're wondering, are they upset? Did I do something? Should I explain myself? Should I text again? The conversation ended, but somehow your mind kept talking. Today I want to tell you about a couple I'll call David and Noel. Because what happened between them wasn't really about a text message. It was about the story they each started telling themselves. Let's unpack what really happened. Tuesday, 4:17 p.m. David smiled as he read Noel's message. How's your day going? He wanted to answer. He really did. But just as he unlocked his phone, his manager walked over. David, can you help me for a second? He slipped his phone back into his pocket. Sure. 1 minute turned into 15. 15 turned into an hour. Then came another meeting, traffic, and a stop at the grocery store because he remembered they were out of coffee. By the time he walked through the front door, he had completely forgotten about the text. Across town, Noelle looked at her phone. Still nothing. She wasn't angry. Not yet. She smiled to herself and thought, he's probably busy. Then she set the phone down. 20 minutes later, she picked it back up. Nothing. An hour passed. Still nothing. Then she noticed he had been active online, and her stomach tightened just a little. Maybe he saw it. Then she did what so many of us have done. She started trying to make sense of silence. Maybe I interrupted something. Maybe he's annoyed. Did I sound needy? Maybe I text too much. Maybe he's pulling away. The phone hadn't said any of those things, but her mind had. At 7:42 p.m., David finally remembered. Oh no. He grabbed his phone and quickly typed, "Sorry, today got crazy." Then he hit send and waited. 5 minutes. Nothing. 10 minutes. Nothing. Now it was his turn to start creating a story. She's mad. She's ignoring me. She's trying to prove a point. Should I call? Maybe I made this worse. Interesting, isn't it? Neither of them had actually spoken, but both of them were already responding to stories instead of facts. When David walked into the living room later that night, Noelle looked up from the couch. She smiled politely. Not warmly. Politely. Hey. Hey. Silence. David finally said, "Are we okay?" Noelle shrugged. "I'm fine." He sat beside her. "You're not fine." Another pause. Then she quietly asked, "Can I ask you something?" "Of course. When you didn't answer me today, did you even think about how that might feel?" David blinked. "Honestly? No. I wasn't ignoring you. I got busy." "I know you got busy." She looked down at her hands. "That's not what I'm asking." Let's slow this down. Did you catch it? David answered the question he thought she was asking. "Why didn't you text me back?" But Noelle was asking something much deeper. "When I crossed your mind today, did I matter enough for you to remember?" Those are not the same question. David was explaining his schedule. Noelle was revealing her fear. One person was talking about time. The other was talking about significance. And unless they recognized they were having two different conversations, they were going to keep missing each other. Can I tell you what I think was really happening? I don't think Noelle was upset because of 4 unanswered hours. If David had been in surgery, at a funeral, or on a flight, this story probably ends differently. What hurt was the meaning she attached to the silence. She began wondering whether she mattered. David wasn't trying to send that message, But our nervous systems don't always respond to intention. They respond to what we experience. At the same time, David wasn't careless because he didn't love Noel. He got pulled into a busy day and assumed that a late reply with an apology would explain everything. Neither of them was trying to hurt the other, but neither of them understood what the silence had come to represent. This reminds me of something I often think about. Love isn't only expressed in the words we say. Sometimes it's expressed in the way we help the people we love feel remembered. Not because we have to respond instantly every time. That's not realistic. But because healthy relationships create conversations around expectations, instead of assuming both people see things the same way. For some couples, a reply can wait until the end of the workday. For others, a quick, "Busy right now, I'll call you later," is deeply reassuring. The key isn't that one expectation is universally right. The key is that those expectations are talked about instead of guessed. Imagine if this conversation had gone a little differently. David could have said, "I'm really sorry. I can see why the silence felt different on your side. I wasn't trying to make you feel unimportant." And Noel might have replied, "Thank you. I don't need constant texts. I just needed to know I hadn't disappeared from your day." Notice what changed. Nobody was defending. Nobody was accusing. They were finally talking about what the silence meant instead of arguing about the silence itself. So before you leave today, I want you to think about the last text message that stayed with you, not because of what it said, but because of what you believed it meant. Then ask yourself, did I react to the words or to the story I filled in between them? Because sometimes the text isn't what changes the relationship. The story we tell ourselves about it does. I'm Coach Shondella, and until next time, stay aware, stay intentional, and keep choosing connection.